African Democratic Congress in Rivers State says its membership has surged to over 800,000. State Publicity Secretary Luckyman Egila disclosed this during a media briefing in Port Harcourt, describing the party as a beautiful bride attracting notable political figures. Among the recent defectors are former governors Rotimi Amechi and Celestine Omehia, former PDP National Chairman Prince Uche Secondus, Senator Lee Meba, and Senator Andrew Uchendu, who now serves as ADC Vice Chairman South-South. Egila also named former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Austin Opara, and former Minister of Transport, Abiy Sekibo, among its ranks, adding that more high-profile politicians are expected to join soon. He said the party already had structures across the local government areas and communities in the state before its recent expansion. The spokesperson stressed that ADC remains united and crisis-free, dismissing any rumors of internal disputes. He affirmed the party's commitment to integrity, discipline, and respect, noting that the ADC had participated in previous elections and continued to grow daily in membership and influence. Chizi, let me start with you first. What do you make of this story?
Well, let me, honestly, I don't know why you didn't invite the
ADC
spokesperson.
He was actually supposed to be here today.
Yeah, so that, but you see, there is something I have learned from my father. My father said, don't argue with a man who comes out in the morning and said, I had a dream. That in that dream I was sworn in to be president. He said, how is that your business? The man had a dream, and that was just a dream. If you look at the statistics he's saying, and I congratulate them, I'm not going to argue with them. I don't know where they got that statistics. And I don't even know when ADC came to start registration. And I don't know what they call registration of a party. And then we are then registered online. And in this society, especially in university where we know that the majority of the voters are not even online, to begin to register online. I don't know when they announced their registration that they are now up to more than 800,000. But let me even analyze. In Rivers State. Let me even analyze the statistics. People have to, when you are talking, we have been in this thing, we have been talking. When you are talking for party, look at the statistics so that people will not look at you from the statistics. Rivers State registered voters is 3,320,000 persons in Rivers State. Registered voters of Rivers State. And then, let me get you back to the last election. And that last election, I can tell you from 1999, 98, where election started, I'm talking about, I want to be authoritative now, that we haven't had people coming to vote where we registered 80% of the registered voters come to vote. I'm talking Rivers State.
That's 80% of 3 million.
It has not happened before. We have never had 80% of registered voters come to vote. And let me also shock you. I say it whether I'm in the party, in politics or not. I can tell you that from when this registration were on up to now, at least the minimum of 10%, 10% of them would have died. That's number one. And then also, to also tell you that there are some persons, although 5% of those registered persons would have also relocated, because sometimes coppers were used. And to make those numbers, because you know why I will tell you that? Rivers State is about 5 to 6 million in population. And if you know population, you understand that majority of the population is children below even the voting age. That's where you get the majority of the population. From 18 and above, it's not the majority of the population. The population is always at the primary level of those children. And you come back to talk about that. And then just in the last election, where Sim Fubra pulled a vote of 63% of the entire vote. Sim Fubra scored 302,000 votes to secure 60% of the people who voted. I don't know what so which means that if I blow that, if I just say, okay, 40% of that, if you look at what percentage is, it will mean that 40% of that will have been 140,000 that is remaining, that's left. So it means that in that vote, with that, the highest that came out in that voting,
it's 300,000 of active voters. So you're wondering how?
No, about 500,000 voters of active voters. I'm wondering where they got the 800,000 votes. So if they got the 8,000 votes, there won't be any need for election. They will just win. But I can tell you that the ADC has not registered 800,000 voters in Nigeria. ADC does not have 800,000 registered voters in Nigeria. I'm not talking about Rivers State. And I want to ask, we're all from Rivers State now. I'm from a state, I'm from Ward 7, Ikore local government. I cannot count more than 3-4 ADC members. That was before yesterday, because as I yesterday we have stopped ADC from coming to our village. Before yesterday, I cannot count up to 3-4 persons who are registered ADC members. People think that making claim, and that is how they lie. Don't forget that all of the people you have mentioned here, all the people you have mentioned who are members of the ADC today, were also members of the other people that they won. So which means they have not increased. It is just the same people. I have not seen new person that's coming to mobilize for them. They are still members of the same political party coalition of the APC then, coalition of the PDP, the disgruntled PDP members who were, who were not for for SIM. So it is the cumulative of all their votes that is called the ADC, minus us who were in the APC. I'm just saying that the cumulative of all of those opposition who didn't fight for Fubara, I wasn't for Fubara, minus us who were in APC, who now is in APC here today, who didn't go with the ADC people. So I don't know where they got that and of course, you were a journalist, Larisha. When did the ADC announce registration? When did they start registration? Which ward did they go to register? Where did they go to do those kind of, they just got, figures are very easy to come by.
All right, very well. Nze, what do you make of this story?
Yeah, thank you very much. We hear stories, and sometimes we reason around the stories. They say that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. I cannot dispute with ADC that they have 800,000 members. Neither will I struggle to worry myself about the number of persons that have joined them. I have an interest. And if ADC can meet my interest, then they become my hero. But if they cannot, this, if I may say, unguarded claims, some time ago, a few months ago, when we were in a show here, when the ADC promised that, even before the coalition, that they will mobilize 40 million votes.
Was it 40 million or 10 million?
No, about other 40 million votes.
I think 10 million votes. But just go ahead.
In the 2027
It's in the area of million.
Yeah, it is just within the area of million. So when they made that claim, we struggled with it here. And we never knew that the coalition will finally fall back to them. But coming to Rivers State, I think it is somebody like Chizzy that should be jittery over the claim of ADC. And I'm happy that he's doing that because from his defense, you see that he's actually jittery. And they have succeeded, Egila has succeeded in putting that pressure in them. But however, how true is that? What are your data that proved that? Now, if you can make APC and PDP or PDAPC in Rivers State to jitter and maybe lose control, it means that Egila has succeeded.
Now, the question would be, let's just say that, let's go with what they have said, the 800,000 members. One would say, why then are they not running for the local government elections? I mean, if they have 800 active members who are active voters,
already,
they have they have taken over Rivers State local government structure.
We have always advocated for ideology. If in their manifesto they don't seem to agree with what the RISEC under the current RISEC chairman is doing, they have rights to boycott the elections. They have right.
Well, we've always had a history of boycotts by opposition parties who feel threatened by the outcome of the local government elections. So most times the boycott is to cover up, seeming weaknesses.
The seeming defeat.
Yes, it's always a defeatist approach towards elections. Now, I am looking at ADC having this voter strength of 800,000 members at this point, and know that, I mean, ADC is all over the news. And, you know, they said they have big wigs. Even all of them were all formatters. But then, at some point, they commanded influence in Rivers State. One would say to a large extent, with these persons, who will also have people loyal to them, they would naturally want to use that platform to, you know, push in their people. And now that they have this platform, you're telling me they are boycotting elections when they have this level of strength. And if they move into elections, local government elections, with this strength,
they will sweep everywhere.
They will sweep everywhere, and that stays the stage for ADC to take over Rivers State in 2027 Guba elections.
Yes.
So now, considering this, why would ADC boycott the local government elections?
Now, you know, each political party have their interest, and it takes strategy to win election, not actually the people, as we have seen in the past elections. They have proven to us that it takes strategy to win elections. So, and the ADC, looking at this election by RISEC, they might not, their strategy will not be able to match with that of APC and PDP.
Even though they have numbers.
They have that strength, that voting power, and things like that. Now, but however, we are saying this based on the claim of Aguilar. And just like Jesus said that his father told him that if any man wakes up from sleep and told you that he's dreamed that he was sworn in as a president, that you shouldn't argue with him because you were not there in the dream. And he didn't cite you. So Aguilar has come to say this to us. Now we will be following Aguilar from this point. In fact, not just Aguilar, but ADC will be following them from now based on the information they have brought to the public.
All right.
So we are looking at them boycotting the election, and the Chizi has given us a very clear-cut analysis of voters, registered voters in Rivers State, and the ADC had collected 800. So we will now be looking at the number that will remain in Labour Party, the number that will remain in APP, the number that will remain in other political parties, and the number that is not agreeing with Tony Okocha-led executive, because I believe that there are people who are feeling bad that Emeka Beke lost out and things like that. So these are, maybe they have not joined ADC. So by the time we do all the plus minus, we will still come back to the claim of Rivers State ADC. However, they have something in their coffer. The names they mentioned are political bigwigs in Rivers State. But you know that these names were mentioned in the tussle between some of these names were mentioned in the tussle between the
they were the Rivers State elders.
I wouldn't give it to them because I wouldn't give it to them because if one or two was not there in that committee, so it would be wrong to address them as such. So I just see them as ADC bigwigs. But I saw some of them in Governor Sim Fubara camp, and when that camp collapsed, I had expected them to speak up, but they didn't speak up. So, but however, I give them their respect.
I think the only person among them that you could remove was the former Minister of Transport.
Could you remove from who?
No, former Rotimi.
Could remove from Sim?
Yes.
No, I can't remove him now.
He said he wasn't taking sides, clearly, and he did not. I don't recall him taking sides, though, unless he did that. But every other person that was mentioned here were clearly the River State elders on the side of yes.
So you now
the
see that
River State elders.
It is like
so now it's as if it is those people
that now moved into with their members,
ADC, considering that the FCT minister has a stronghold, has basically APC and PDP in River State is under his control. So they know they will not be able to survive in both parties. So ADC became the bride for them.
Lorenza, you know that for a politician to retain relevance, he has to be standing somewhere. You know, Amaechi almost lost completely when he wasn't raising his voice in APC. He almost lost. If not, in fact, it is ADC now, this coalition, that gave him political life again.
Maybe we'll have to look at that statement. That
yes, when time comes, he will do that.
Ahead.
But you see, for these people now who failed, or if I may use the word, who were defeated in in
the River State crisis.
In the River State crisis by those supporters of FCT minister. You know, they now, if they remain in oblivion, they might lose relevance. So there is need for them to rush into this ADC that has accepted the coalition. You know, they are now all members of coalition, even when some of them were not there ad initio. But now you see them standing there, and now you are hearing their names. Their relevance is still there. But however, I would have advised ADC to participate in the election, even though me personally.
So it will be a litmus test.
Yes, let us see if actually they
have that strength that they
hold
boast
water
of.
in the subsequent elections. And if they have this number they claim they had, and they have mobilized them to cast their vote, this local government election will be a very fantastic political game to watch. But now coming to boycott the election, they will now make it a PD APC thing.
All right.
And it will not favor us. Though we, the political watchers, might not really find it interesting.
All right, very well. Chizzy, what do you have to say? Because I know you wanted to react before we move on to the next story.
I wasn't just going to react. You know, he said that they've sent a G3 message to us. You know, that's why I'm reacting.
He said you're G3.
That I'm G3. You know, no, I'm not G3 for. I am somehow. I'm only G3 because those who we should hold in trust, especially the public officers we should hold in trust, is beginning to misinform the public, and that's very dangerous for us. So when some of our comes, we want to bring up statistics that tells people, please don't be based on these whole lies. Because in 2019, for instance, after our primaries, we had what we call direct primaries, you know, before the collegiate primaries that we had in Abuja. When we got to Abuja, do you know they published voters from River State in that primaries was 2.3 million persons that voted for Buhari from APC. 2.3 million APC members. And in 2019, we couldn't convert it to vote. If we had 2.3 million APC members that voted in the primaries from River State, and in River State we had less than 800,000 voters that participated in that election, we should have won. What it means is there are certain statistics. Let me tell you something. I have found out that from the unit, from the home, if you begin to lead your home on the foundation of lie, it will become so burdensome you won't do nothing. If you come home and tell your wife that you earn 500,000 naira, their budget will go to that, at least 10% of that budget will be coming from 500,000. But if you come and say, look at my salary is 50,000, all of us will begin to improve on what we do so that 50,000, that's the kind of things I'm talking about in River State. We lie a lot and we think politics is about lying. I studied political science. That's why people have defined politics as lying. Why are you lying? I'm looking at statistics that you know that you haven't done anything. So the only way to bring up a reaction and get Lauricia to catch easy to come and react is to say that we have, you will see one day they will say they have 5 million. They won't even know that our voting population is less than 5 million. That's the kind of claim that I don't like. In fact, that primaries, if anybody was going to question that primaries, you would have questioned it. Because what would have happened is that when the 2.something million person vote from River State, and from which statistics, as at then, we were less than 2.5 million voters in River State. And so they gave the president 2.3 something million voters. Nobody died, nobody came, and everybody in River State was APC. And then president came and couldn't make 10% of his vote in River State. 10% of the vote in River State. Now again, he have put up name. You know, I have done 2 masters and I have refused to do PhD. I'm going to do PhD. Even if it's to buy it and keep, because we like title. Former this, former that, former this. Bring this whole former person. They are former failures and consistent serial failures. These were the people who had failed in 2015, came back in 2019 and failed. His Excellency Celestine Domeha, my brother, my uncle, I hope you know, he knew as a lawyer, Celestine knew that as a lawyer, that the court having removed him from government, that he was not supposed to be, his picture was not supposed to be there as a former governor. He knew. But for political experience, he tried to allow these boys to use him. This person placed his phone, the other one removed it, and all messing him up. And these are former persons that you should respect, that should come sit down and say, former. Celestine Omeha, I'm calling his name, was a person who told me in 2023, when I was having fatigue, we are not going to release money because you cannot beat in Ikwere, because Ikwere is unbeatable. We can't beat these boys. That's the challenge. Those who will contest for election now, the boys we can't beat. And this is the boys you say you can beat. He told me, I'm not saying that, I was telling him, let's go. He said, no, let's not go. So in election, they will be in the hotel. They will be, look at, in Ikwere, they have reduced the influence of my own uncle and friend and leader, that Honorable Chibika Bechi, to Ubime, to his word. They have reduced that influence to the extent that every election that you see...
Are you saying that the former Minister of Transport and ex-governor of Rivers State,
yes,
Rotimi Amechi, cannot win elections in Rivers State?
In Ubima.
Cannot win elections in his local government.
Oh, stop this local government. I said Ubima is a word. You're talking about... I said they have reduced it to that extent where the struggle now is how to win election in Ubima Ward 8. I'm talking about Ward 8. How to win that election in Ward 8. I'm saying it openly. Now, tell me those of them, is it Austin that will win election in Port Harcourt or where? It is, see, using this formatting, I agree. Of course, if God has given you. But what people don't understand is, whether I tell you, there is a time process, there's a process of time by which you do this, and there's also people, there are certain persons that will leave you. You will now notice that whether that thing you were growing was just grace, not because you know work. You just know. People don't understand the difference that you won election, that right Honorable Chibika Amechi won as assembly. He failed in the first election in 1998 to Uche Okuku. He lost to Uche Okuku, and they recovered it through court. That's how he came. And they recovered this court, not because the court said he won, but because Uche Okuku made a technical mistake, which is using Uche O instead of Uche Okuku, and they took another person whose what life they that he is also Uche O. That means that he was no longer qualified to vote. That's how he won, not because he won Uche in House of Assembly. Second turn is not what you're going to go. Of course, you know it's Carigo. In 2005, that same election, after the primaries, he went to Ghana. People were here and brought it. Omeha won the election, and through court he came. Of course, in 2011, you know what happens. Then 2015, so all the major elections, he has not won any. Please tell me one. He is a good person. He is a leader. But in winning election, he won't be there. In 2015, they had what my friend Peter Side. Dakuku Peter Side. Dakuku Peter was a vibrant person that was coming up. And of course, I told somebody that even if you put an angel from that angle, the angel will not win. The reason was simple. Because we had a president that was from here, that the whole of this thing was against the president. So Dakuku lost that election and they declared wicked. And they went to court of first instance and Dakuku won. They went to the court of second instance, Dakuku won. At the Supreme Court, my brother traveled. The lawyers were not mobilized. Before you knew it, the thing turned to wicked. What are we talking about? That in 2019, when
they traveled.
You know where I'm talking about. That Amechi traveled now. He didn't. They were talking to the
lawyers were not mobilized.
The lawyers were not mobilized. Everything.
They were supposed to go defend Dakuku
in Supreme Court. Dakuku lost in Supreme Court after Court of Appeal and all that. In fact, Wike was thinking he was gone, or the worst that would have happened in that election. We were in the PDP. The worst that would have happened in that election was going to be a re-election, but it didn't happen. Now in 2019, when the Dakuku now became a Nemasa DG, and you know, as Nemasa DG, he would have had more experience, more capacity, more enablement to be able to do. Amechi didn't feed him as candidate. Listen, because he wants to be leader, not that he wants a governor. Because if a governor comes in as governor, the governor will become the leader of APC. So the contest was who is going to be leader.
And you're saying because of Amechi's personal interest.
That's all.
Wanting to retain leadership.
Leadership. That's
what
allowed
his party.
We lost it. So we lost. So he was a super minister.
You're speaking as an APC SEC member who had first-hand experience of all.
Am I not on picture? Yeah. I want them to hate me because you know when you keep. I found out that all the things I have refused to say, they have also not. They still hate me. They still suspect that I'm going to. So I'm saying it openly. Let the wars happen. that in that place he didn't do it. In 2019, what happened? As soon as 2019 came, before 2019, the process of having APC, we are there. We are there. I mobilized the highest number of persons in 2017 for APC to get the governorship. All of a sudden, you went and told Magnus that Magnus was not going to be governor. And you know, in politics, just like business, what profit is to a businessman is what interest is to a politician. If you are going to tell me not to run, you will tell me where to run. If you are going to tell me to sit down, you will tell me where to stand. You can't tell the politician to just sit down and wait for you. No, now. Not in the capacity of the people who were growing up with you. So when you did that and there were issues, some of us came and said, let's go and reconcile those issues. No. We couldn't reconcile those issues. I wrote a letter and gave them. I wrote and said, this thing we will not go to the pool. And you know, in 2019, we couldn't go to the pool. We were in federal government. We were having all the party. The APC didn't go to. The APC was not on the ballot in 2019. And because why? The leadership, not for the lack of energy on the part of the membership of the APC, but on the failure of leadership.
Who was to be blamed for that?
Leadership.
Who was the leader at that time?
That's why you insisted. Did they pay you to say I must be calling somebody's name? I've been calling leadership. Don't you know leadership? I won't call anybody name.
Leadership is an ambiguous.
Leadership, you should know who is leading.
I don't know.
Leadership, forget that one. I'm not going to say, are you paying me? After all, you asked me to remove President Bola Ahmed cap because it's an advert. So, you know, so it's leadership that failed. And in that leadership that failed, so the leadership failed and we couldn't provide a candidate. We lost in that candidate. They went and brought Toyoko. Now you are going to bring Toyoko, you were going to also show Toyoko his village. You are going to show the man who is going to run for election in River State his village. You are going to show the man how to vote or where to vote. We didn't win. Because you see, in River State, every state has their character in electionary. We have our character. In River State, have you noticed that it's only in River State that you brought somebody like a research chairman who is not for River State, and River State people are shouted, why are you bringing somebody who is not for River State? You know what? River State has an uncle, brother thing. There's a Port Harcourt thing. This boy is a Port Harcourt boy. Just because there's an election, there's a Port Harcourt. You have a way of reaching out to a Port Harcourt. If you bring somebody who's a Port Harcourt, when they say Port Harcourt boy, not necessarily because you're from River State. Because I came back in 2019, I was not called a Port Harcourt boy until I re-established myself as a Port Harcourt boy. You can come from here, but you're staying outside, you're not a Port Harcourt boy. Today is not a Port Harcourt boy. And then he came back. In 2023, they brought to him, we started doing election. In the mix of that, now look at the election. In the midst of the election, they both went. They went for primaries, and godly, we wanted to vote for that Tinubu to become the president of Nigeria. Of course, we lost it. The same way I lost as a party chairman, state party chairman, and you asked me to accept it. Let's have the party to be united. You went to the primaries and you lost. No, the party must die because you lost primaries. And when the party lost, you came back here, did not know that you needed a party at the center. You know, let me tell you something. If you like what my local palace, they will say when chicken or hen or whatever you call it, or cock, because you have children, you have other chicks, there are things, you don't run so fast like that. You need to renegotiate. Because we have governors that, look, we have the federal government, we have the central government, we can have a push. All you needed to do is say, oh fine, I've lost, let me now support Bola Tinubu as we're going to support our own candidate here. No, he left us in the middle of the game. So we didn't have anybody to run to. Then we started doing what he wanted to do and won us blatantly and removed everything about us. And then we couldn't say, you now stayed. Now, because you didn't succeed in your own, all of us those who were running for assembly, those who were running for House of Reps, those who were running for everything was failed. Those who were following you. So right now, you are not coming to ADC. So Cheesy will now stand up again and go to ADC. If you lose ADC ticket, then you will look for another party for us. What's that? We should all keep quiet. And because all of us want to do... Enough of this movies. This movie is enough now. We should all stop now. What are we doing here now? We have to talk that. I'm no longer a young person. No. The only thing that can happen to me now is to be hungry. Hungry for what now? Before I walk from one house to the other, I will eat. After all, Amechi is also hungry. I thought that people who became ministers wasn't going to be hungry. He's also hungry. So all of us are hungry. So, and who has made us hungry? Them. So we are here now. We've lost that. Now we don't have assembly. We don't have a senator. We don't have anybody. All of us contest under the APC. We labeled. Then somebody who is from outside Yes, we came from our side, came and started reaping from what we labeled. In fact, yes, we can see even magnanimous because he's compensating some of us who are in APC to say, please, APC take. When they give him 2 positions, he will say APC take 1, PDP take 1. If it's us, we wouldn't even allow PDP. In fact, if it's us, we wouldn't even allow PDP to get any. I'm being frank with you. If it's us, okay, is just saying allow PDP. In fact, he will say, Victor Aguiado is the APC vice chairman now. Let him nominate. Please now. He will just be doing it. And now people are nominating. And today, by the grace of God, by 30th of August, APC is going to the first time since 2018 win certain local government because APC is now dogged. Because those who were our abattoirs are left APC, we are now free to contest and win election. On the election, if the ADC wants to win election, you know why? Those who are in ADC are those who believe in rigging. So if they don't have structure to rig, they won't contest election. If 2027 comes and they don't have structure to league, they won't contest. I'm being frank with you. I know them. They don't believe in democracy.
All right, very well.
So if I don't want to kill me, I don't start.